5, and that figures to hold sway during the regular season. And off we go on a 69-degree early evening from Oakland, California, with the kickoff going through the end zone. Drew Brees, Sports Illustrated Sportsman of the Year, Super Bowl winning quarterback in 2009, but last year 22 interceptions. Pierre Thomas healthy again this year. Collins, a good story. We'll talk about that. Colston, Henderson outside. Dave Thomas is the tight end. And the men up front, Bushrod de la Puente tonight. Cruz is the longtime Bear. Evans one of the best. And Streif. Carl Nix is hurt. He and Evans form that great guard tandem. But Nix won't play. He'll be ready for the regular season opener. And Brees is going to lay it up on the opening play from scrimmage and all the way down the left sideline to Devery Henderson. So Brees unloads, much as the Raiders normally love to do on their opening play. He beats the rookie DeMarcus Van Dyke.
Well, you got the rookie on the outside, DeMarcus Van Dyke, and remember, not the Asamoah now playing for the Philadelphia Eagles. And one thing you have to be able to do in this league, not just cover, but find the football. And that is not a good opening sign for that young man.
Chris Johnson, who's hurt, would normally be that corner. And Brees goes right to work on a sore spot. And then Brees throws again, and that pass is dropped at the 28-yard line by Jimmy Graham, the young emerging tight end. So Brees going down the field on the first two plays. Last year, the Saints ran on only a little more than a third of their offensive plays because of all of the injuries in the backfield, lowest rate in Saints history. So Brees had to throw it a lot, and he threw for a lot of yardage, but as you saw earlier, 22 interceptions, a career high for him. Second down and 10, they spread it out. Darren Sproles, the former Charger, is in the game, and that pass into traffic is incomplete. Rolando McLean knocks it down, intended for Jimmy Graham. So twice now he's called Graham's number on back-to-back plays. Shaughnessy had an interception last week. Kelly and Bryant in the middle. Seymour not playing tonight. Lamar Houston on the outside. McLean, as a rookie last year, started 15 games and quarterbacked that defense. Wembley on the outside, the former Brown, is a very good outside backer. And then you've got Rout with Van Dyke at the corners. Huff and Branch are the safeties again. Chris mentioning no Asamoah. Chris Johnson hurt. So Van Dyke getting the start, the rookie at one corner. 3rd and 10. And Brees steps up into the pocket and then throws to the 26-yard line and hits Robert Meacham amongst that very deep and talented wide receiver core. 18 yards, first down, Saints.
Well, we'll start with some of the protection up front. Cameron Wembley, who's probably the best of these pass rushers, working against Zach Streif, who's taken over the right tackle position. But once again, Drew Brees going right to work on the rookie. You're going to send Nnamdi to Philadelphia. I'm going to go after his replacement. And DeMarcus Van Dyke's going to get a workout tonight.
Now Brees with a fake toss. Once again to the air to Graham, but that is sniffed out perfectly by Tyvon Branch, fourth-year safety from Connecticut. Minimal gain, 8-3.
That was almost the trifecta for DeMarcus Van Dyke. That time, Devery Henderson was running by himself down the field, and Van Dyke was looking for help that never showed up.
No huddle they run this time, and Mark Ingram, who won the Heisman Trophy as a sophomore in Alabama, and then was picked in the first round. They traded up to get him, but he didn't go until the 28th spot, which was lower than he had hoped to go, even though he wanted to wind up eventually with the Saints, which he did. But he said, you know, I never would have shown up at the draft if I know it was going 28. But they're counting on him to make a very big impact early.
And they have been thoroughly impressed. Every coach I talked to with the Saints, they were overwhelmed with his talent.
3rd down, 6. Reggie Bush is gone. He's in Miami. So Darren Sproles, who used to line up alongside Phillip Rivers in San Diego in these spots, flanks Brees here. And a flag is thrown, and they go to Sproles. That'll be short of the first down, and Gene Steratore will make his first call of the night, tonight's referee. And Steratore with the mic not working, or at least
illegal formation offense. Number 74 was not on the line of scrimmage. The penalty has declined. 4th down.
What he was actually doing before he announced it was asking Hugh Jackson if he wanted to accept it or decline it.
Yeah, here we go. And you've got Rolando McClain, the linebacker, who's going to be in man coverage. Here's what ended up the penalty right there. Bushrod was a little bit too far off the line of scrimmage. But that's a good sign for the Raiders that middle linebacker Rolando McClain could handle Darren Sproles in one-on-one coverage.
And an interesting call by Jackson to make it 4th and 2 instead of 3rd and about 12. And this is Marcus Colston picking up the first down. So they'd rather have it as a 4th down instead of a 3rd and long. And the Saints say, thank you very much. We'll take the extra play.
Well, I don't think Drew Brees has thrown a pass yet that wasn't directed at DeMarcus Van Dyke. Nicely done that time by Marcus Colston as he set up the young player to the outside. This is not easy what they ask these Raider corners to do. And so far, he's been abused.
Saints with that short yardage situation and making it pay off, and now plugging his way down to the 1-yard line goes Ingram. Tough runner. He's 5'9" and 215 pounds. His father, of course, played for the Super Bowl champion Giants and made a huge play in their win against Buffalo in Super Bowl 25. Again, they go no huddle on 2nd down and goal. And you got a whistle before the snap that time. So they're very much playing this like as rehearsal for opening night.
Offense, number 80, 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
Jimmy Graham, the false start. Sean Payton telling us against Tennessee in the middle of the week, you're not going to see the regulars, obviously. He's going to wait for a week from Thursday in Green Bay when it counts. And Hugh Jackson's team has a little extra time. They'll go to Seattle on Friday, but then they won't open up until the following Monday at Denver. 2nd and goal from the 7. Opening drive of the game. And Brees throws on the slant, and that's caught by Marcus Colston. He's tackled by Van Dyke. The ball will be spotted at the 1-yard line, 3rd and goal.
Well, we can almost eliminate the other 10 guys out there on the field. This is just turning into like a one-on-one drill out there.
And no huddle again. And they hand the ball off to Ingram, and he powers his way into the end zone for a Saints touchdown. 5 minutes and 15 seconds. And they go 80 yards, 11 plays, 8 passes, 3 rushes, touchdown Saints.
Oh, when you get a big guy like Jari Evans in there, just go right behind the big guy. He's got the inside angle. He's just going to move his guy completely out of there. And that is how you score touchdowns. You know, Ingram doesn't like to be called as a power back. He thinks he's a complete back, but sure is nice to have a guy like that down on the goal line.
Backs don't want to be called power backs. Corners don't want to be called cover corners. Garrett Bartley for the extra point. Chase Daniel, the backup to Drew Brees at quarterback, is the holder. So Ingram puts it into the end zone, and the Saints draw first blood on this beautiful night in Oakland, California. 7-0 Saints. Sunday Night Football being brought to you by Subway Restaurants. Try the new oven crisp chicken sandwich today. By Madden NFL 12 in stores August 30th. EA Sports, it's in the game. And by Hyundai, no scripts, no rehearsals, no kidding. That's Hyundai Uncensored. San Francisco Oakland Bay Bridge, spanning the bay, connecting San Francisco with the East Bay.
There's the great Willie Brown, one of the all-time Raider greats, talking to Marcus Van Dyke, saying, hang in there, kid, but Drew Brees is going to be relentless until you prove you can cover somebody.
Thomas Morstead is the Saints kickoff man and punter, and that is fielded in the field of play. So Nick Miller makes the mistake of letting it touch him instead of going into the end zone, and then boots it out of bounds, and Oakland will start inside its own 10-yard line. Early first quarter in Oakland. Jason Campbell, not that long ago, was going to be the Redskins quarterback of the future. He was a #1 draft choice there, then got sent to Oakland last year in a trade after Washington picked up Donovan McNabb. So in his second season as the starting quarterback, and he starts this drive from the 9-yard line, and the Raiders begin on the ground. And they hand the ball off to Michael Bush, 4th year out of Louisville. Let's take a look at that Oakland offense. Bush with Reese, the fullback, Hayward Bay, and Denarius Moore has been a training camp sensation, rookie from Tennessee. Myers is the tight end. Bellier had 15 penalties called against him last year. Wisniewski is the nephew of the other Wisniewski, the longtime guard as you looked at the Raider offensive line. Stefan and Steve Wisniewski, his uncle. 2nd down and 7 from the 13-yard line. And Campbell hit as he throws and goes deep and incomplete. Hayward Bay had to turn around along the sideline, and Patrick Robinson, the 2nd-year corner out of Florida State, starting in place of Tracy Porter tonight at that spot, breaks it up.
Well, here's what I don't like about Hayward Bay. He just runs in a straight line. The people in the NFL playing cornerback are too fast. He had one-on-one coverage all the way over the field. All he had to do is set up Robinson a little bit, give him a little stick move inside, and then use his speed. Right now, he's trying to just play with his speed, and it's working against him.
7th overall pick in the draft a couple of years back. The Raiders have always loved speed and draft high for speed. 3rd down and 7 from the 13-yard line. From the shotgun, and that pass is caught. Slant. Derek Hagan, former New York Giant veteran, 5th year out of Arizona State, moving the chains for Oakland.
Yeah, and for Derek Hagan, I think he has a role on this team. I really do. He's a tough young man. He's going to catch these slants on 3rd down. You know, speed's a wonderful thing, but it's not always a deep ball in this league. Sometimes you have to show a little guts over the middle, and this Derek Hagan has it.
1st down from the 25-yard line. Saints moving around defensively. Campbell almost had that one batted, but gets it away. And Denarius Moore, rookie out of Tennessee, drafted in the 5th round, makes the catch. Smith, Ellis, Rogers, the longtime Lion, and Brown, and Alex Brown up front. Raiders go no huddle here. Shanley Vilma in the middle. He's the defensive captain with Herring, and the guys in the secondary. Maya came over in the trade with Miami that sent Reggie Bush to the Dolphins. Catch made here by Marcel Reese, the fullback, gain of about 3, setting up a 3rd down and a long 1.
You know, one of the big changes this year for the Saints is bringing in Sean Rogers up front. Did not have much of a game last week. Had a little trouble getting off on the pass rush there as well, but he is a guy, a veteran player. He's not going to get amped up for these preseason games, but they've had difficulty stopping the run. And if Sean Rogers and Abreu Franklin can make a difference in there, it could really help this Saints team.
3rd and 1. And this is Bush. See a little bit more of Bush than normal tonight because the #1 back is Darren McFadden, coming off a 1,000-yard season. But McFadden with a couple of injuries in training camp, including a broken orbital bone under the eye, and so he won't play tonight. He figures to get some action in against Seattle during the week and then play on opening night at Denver.
It's a good cutback block right behind Will Smith right there. Michael Bush, a big guy. He was a quarterback in high school, believe it or not, but he is sort of the change-up back, the power guy for this Raiders offense.
Straight eye this time with Bush the tailback and Reese the fullback. And on a draw. A lot of this game is going to be played on that dirt because the Oakland A's, it's their home. They'll be home on Friday. They were in Boston over the weekend. Then they go to Cleveland. They come back, and as you can see, so much of this field, and there are only 2 left, this in Miami, where they play some games on the unsodded dirt. And that is, since we were on it before the game, that is concrete in the guise of dirt.
I hated playing on that stuff. Just scrapes you up. They wear sliding pants for a reason in baseball.
2nd and 8. Nice run here. Plowing through the middle goes Michael Bush. Had 8 rushing touchdowns last year. Short yardage man. 1st down.
Pretty good job by Brandon Myers, who is the tight end now, taking over for Kevin Boss, who took over for Zach Miller on the outside. And Michael Bush is starting to establish a little bit of a run themselves. You know, the Saints had a really tough time stopping the run a week ago. That was their focal point here this evening, and so far it hasn't been much better.
Texans did a lot of damage on the ground in Houston last week. Bush, good juke move to pick up the 1st down. He left Amaya in his tracks. Amaya, we mentioned, is the guy, one of the guys coming over in the deal for Reggie Bush that sent Bush to Miami. 1st down.
All right, it didn't work out this time, but for Sean Rogers right here, watch what he's capable of. Taking Samson Satelli straight backwards. There just happened to be gaps outside of him, but he did his job on that one.
Now Campbell, after leading them up without a huddle, calling the play at the line at the 38-yard line. And once again, this is Bush probing the left side. Well, Rock Cartwright, actually, that's Rock Cartwright, the former Redskin, played there with Campbell.
Well, you know, Sean Rogers is getting the penetration. Now he just has to make a play. He's pushing this line backwards, but he's just not getting off soon enough in order to make the play. He's taken a step over what he was last week. Now he just needs a tackle.
2nd down and 7. Quick pace first quarter, almost 10 minutes into it. And a flip to the left side, and the catch is made by Hagan, and Hagan breaks the tackle and prances into the end zone. Touchdown. Got away from Tracy Porter, playing tonight in the nickel, and a 35-yard touchdown.
That was a nice check that time by Jason Campbell. Saw the man coverage, and you start playing in this dirt, you slip. There you go. You see it right there. Tracy Porter just slipped on the move by Hagan, and there was nobody left. They were straight man coverage across the board. Campbell saw it, took advantage. Nice call.
Porter slid into third base, and Hagan goes into the end zone. Now Janikowski to tie the game. With the punter, Leckler holding. And each team with an 11-play opening drive. Saints went 80 yards for a TD. Raiders go 91 yards for a TD. Knotted at 7 first quarter. She has a unique gift for cracking cases. Maria Bello will star in the new drama series Prime Suspect Thursdays this fall at 10 Eastern and Pacific, 9 Central and Mountain on NBC. That fog rolling in over San Francisco. Perfectly clear in the East Bay, bright blue skies, 69 degrees at game time, and well, you move the kickoff from the 30 to the 35, and that's what you're going to get. Saints will start at the 20, 7-7 in Oakland.
Well, when you have success running the football, you start forcing defenses to come up and play man coverage, which is exactly what happened. Man coverage, man coverage. So all of a sudden now, Jason Campbell checks to just a simple little hitch. Now you make one guy miss a tackle, and there's nobody there. Nice job by Jason Campbell. Nice job by Derek Hagan.
So Campbell on the phone upstairs with Al Saunders, who's pretty much in the emeritus offensive coordinator position. Talk about that as we go along here. Breeze begins the second drive, and here is Sproles to the outside. He goes, and it's pretty clear with Reggie Bush going to Miami, and Bush filled a role. Bush wanted a larger role, and he and Sean Payton talked about it. And then finally, Reggie just opted to, if he could, get sent somewhere, and they brought Sproles in. And of course, the guy who was the saddest about that, well, two guys, Norv Turner and Phillip Rivers.
Yeah, no question about it, but they really liked Sproles, didn't they? I mean, they really felt like, as far as you look at the numbers, his rushing average, his receiving average per play, and punt return average were all higher than Reggie Bush's.
Did a great job in San Diego, and now Breeze throws, and that's a great catch on a spin around by Jimmy Graham. Talked about him as an emerging tight end. Graham, a basketball player at Miami, drafted in the 3rd round in 2010, and probably an emerging star the way it looks right now.
Well, Jeremy Shockey's gone because of the play of one Jimmy Graham. Drew Brees saw one-on-one coverage with his big tight end on the outside against a safety, Michael Huff, and the former basketball player just went up and got it. Nice read there by Brees.
And again to the outside. This is Pierre Thomas. Thomas, the lead back in the Super Bowl year of 09. He emerged, and then last year bothered with an ankle, played in only 6 games, had surgery, and healthy again this year. He figures to be part of pretty much a three-headed monster back there with Thomas, Ingram seeing a lot of carries, and then Darren Sproles.
Yeah, and there was a little noise made about Pierre Thomas. People were frustrated that he didn't come back sooner from the ankle, but ultimately had surgery on it, and I feels much better now.
2nd and 8. The pass is caught by Henderson. Devery to the 48-yard line. Think back to the Super Bowl year, and what did the Saints do? They had guys in and out. So there was Thomas at 793, and then Mike Bell played a big part, and Reggie Bush in his specialty role, and that's how the Saints ran the ball in the Super Bowl season. And then the funny thing about this year, I talk about the 3 guys. Chris Ivory had to do most of the ball carrying last year, led the team in rushing, and he'd be 4th on the chart. Here's Sproles, and Sproles around the corner. Gets knocked out of bounds by Stevie Brown, but not until he moves the sticks.
Well, I tell you, when you've got a big wide receiver on the outside that can crack back, Marcus Colston that time on the edge came down on the defensive end and made the key block for Darren Sproles to pick up that first down. This is quite a weapon when you can come inside on a defensive end and get that guy on the ground to turn the corner.
Now from the 39-yard line, they take a reverse. And that's good coverage over the middle. Because McLean doesn't go anywhere, doesn't get fooled by Thomas. And the Raiders, a veteran defense. And then last year they bring McLean in, first-year guy last season out of Alabama, #1 draft choice. And they say, okay, you're our middle linebacker, and we're going to give you the speaker in your helmet, and you call the defense.
You know, it was interesting. The knock on him coming out of Alabama was that he couldn't play man coverage. And he got here, and it's one of the most impressive things that he's been doing. Obviously, with the Raiders, you have to play man-to-man, and he's done a great job so far twice in this game already.
Whacking his helmet as if to say, I can't hear you from the sideline. And that pass is caught by Robert Meacham. Meacham to the 16-yard line, and another Saints first down. The safety, Tyvon Branch, with the tackle.
Well, Drew Brees is just too good here. Watch him look off the safety on the right-hand side. He's going to pump it right down the middle of the field, move the safety, and then come right back in the hole where that safety can no longer get to. Zach Strief, the new tackle on the outside, again doing a nice job on Cameron Wembley. He's having a good game.
Saints 13 minutes into the game, already 149 yards of offense. Brees 9 of 12 from the 16-yard line. Sproles the running back, and Brees throws, and it's incomplete. Intended for Marcus Colston at the 1-yard line. Stanford route, and he was the beneficiary of Asamoah going to Philadelphia in terms of his bank account.
Sure was, about a $30 million 3-year contract, but this is a play that Colston makes a lot. That was fairly routine, but Stanford route's going to get a little bit of the Nnamdi Asamoah treatment. Not a lot of balls are going to be thrown his way until DeMarcus Van Dyke, the rookie, starts making plays on the other side.
Thomas is the running back. Pierre, big hole right side, but then he runs right into 33. He runs right into Tyvon Branch, the safety, coming up to stick him.
You know, it's amazing to look at the numbers and the 40-yard dash times of these Raiders in the backfield. But one guy, this Tyvon Branch, is just a physical, nightmarish hitter. And he can cover. He runs about a 4.4 back there as a strong safety, and that is almost unheard of. He's a good player.
Drafted in the 4th round in 08 out of UConn. 3rd and 4 out of the gun with Sproles flanking Brees. And the pass is caught. That'll be a first down and almost a touchdown. Colston is stopped inside the 1-yard line by Route and Branch.
You know, one of the problems the Raiders have, they probably would like to play more zone coverage, but if you don't practice it a lot, you don't know that much about it. And you get a team like the Saints and Drew Brees and Marcus Colston, who's been around forever, you play zone, all right, fine. I'm just going to come down here and turn around. That's going to be easy. They have looked awesome so far on offense.
Another 80-yard drive and a flag here before Thomas gets the handoff. Cheese Territory is the ref. He's battling Ed Hockley for the biceps championship. Well, he's been working out.
Not close yet.
No,
not yet.
Close.
Close.
Prior to the flag, we have a timeout called by Oakland. It will be their first charge timeout.
So still first down and goal when we come back. 7-7. Regular season opening a week from Thursday on NBC 2 years back. Manning threw that interception. Porter ran it back for a touchdown. Saints win their first ever Super Bowl. And then last year at Cowboy Stadium, it was Green Bay and Mike McCarthy knocking off Pittsburgh. And the last two champs will meet. What a way to open up the 2011 season. NFL kickoff 2011 from Lambeau Field a week from Thursday night. First and goal after the Oakland timeout, and Thomas will vault into the end zone. And the New Orleans Saints have had two perfect drives. This time they go 80 yards, 11 plays with good balance, 5 on the ground and 6 through the air for a touchdown.
Well, you've got a couple of weapons working for you here, but this time it's De La Puente who's taken over for Carl Nix, who pulls around there and leads the way. But I tell you, Al, you hit it right on the head. This has been about as impressive as the Saints could be offensively, marching up and down the field, running it and throwing it.
Extra point here for Garrett Hartley. With 33 seconds remaining in the opening quarter, and the Saints on top by a score of 14-7. Speaking of the Lombardi Trophy, Joe Lombardi is the quarterback's coach for the New Orleans Saints, the grandson of Vince Lombardi. And when you're a quarterback's coach and your guy is Drew Brees, you won the lottery, didn't you?
You're not bad. You're not bad. You know what's going to be so much fun is that game on Thursday night. Think they might throw it around a little bit up there in Lambeau?
Very interesting matchup to start the season, and for the Saints I think it's very important. I mentioned it in the open of the telecast, that horrible taste they have in their mouths, losing to Seattle.
Right.
Seattle going to the playoffs last year with a losing record, and they just want to start the year with a bang.
Yeah, that was about as disappointing as it could have been, but this quarterback comparison, the last two Super Bowl winners, and can't get a whole lot better than that. Both these guys MVPs, and the numbers nearly flawless on both sides of the ledger there.
And the Saints to kick off right now with Thomas Morstead. Jacoby Ford would normally be the Oakland returner, but he's hurt. Hope to have him back by opening night. Thus, Denarius Moore, rookie who's made a splash in training camp out of Tennessee, brings the ball back, and Jason Campbell will go to work again with 28 seconds left in the quarter.
And you know, sometimes opportunity comes out of other guys being injured. Jacoby Ford, Chaz Schillens, Lewis Murphy, all banged up at the receiver position. None of those guys playing out here for the Raiders. So a guy like Derek Hagan and Denarius Moore getting opportunities and proving they can get it done.
We've had 3 drives in the game, 2 by, and there they are. We've had McFadden and Ford. 2 drives by the Saints, 1 drive by Oakland. Each of the drives, 11 plays and a touchdown. So perfect symmetry to this point. From the 17, take the inside give, set up the screen to Moore, and Moore fights his way for what appears to be a first down. Amaya knocks him out of bounds at the Raider bench.
Well, so many times you see a team give up a big play, and then all of a sudden they come back and they start playing soft zone defenses. And again, I think that time Jason Campbell saw what they were in and probably checked to this play. If you're going to play 2 deep safeties, then they're going to take advantage underneath. If you're going to come up and try and blitz, then you take your shots down the field.
Raiders to the line, waning seconds of the quarter. Can they get the play off? And they don't. And that will be the end of that first 15-minute session with a score: the Saints 14 and the Raiders 7. Sunday Night Football continues after these messages. Aerial coverage, and look at that shot being brought to you by Goodyear. Looking from San Francisco back to the East Bay through Yerba Buena Island and Treasure Island and into the East Bay itself. Oakland home of the Raiders, who came into the American Football League in '60, left to go to Los Angeles for 13 seasons, and now hard to believe the Raiders have been back for 17 years. This year number 17, and Hugh Jackson is their 9th head coach over that period of time. First down from the 28-yard line. And Campbell throws, and the pass is incomplete to the 47, intended for the tight end Brandon Myers.
One of the things that Drew Brees does so well is get the ball out of his hand. Watch how we do this. From the moment he starts to throw the football, we'll put the clock on him. 0.33 seconds. Now Jason Campbell, a bigger guy, but watch the little loop that he has to get things started. That little underneath move, 0.47 that time, 0.50 there, and these defensive backs with the way they can run, that does make a difference.
It's time to toss to Tywan Jones, and they love this guy. And again, a Raider guy with speed. He got a flag on the play. Jones, a rookie out of Eastern Washington, 4th-round draft choice. Gene Steratore ready to make this call to be against the Raiders.
Holding. Offense, number 61. 10-yard penalty. Replay, 2nd down.
It's the Penn State rookie, Stefan Wisniewski. Get yelled at by his uncle.
Yeah, but they're excited about him, huh? They're not sure where he's going to play on this offensive line. They just know he is going to play. Could potentially, I guess, play either guard or center position. And really, Jared Valdir, the only one who has sort of a job locked in on this offensive line. Everybody else is in a pretty stiff competition.
2nd down and 20. And a draw. Jones again. So Campbell, in his 2nd year here, 7th year in the league. When you look at Jason, you know what you're going to get. Through his career, remember, he was going to be the anointed one in Washington when he came into the league. Take a look at his statistics versus the league average, and you talk about a guy hitting the mark on almost every one. So where would you rank him as a quarterback? Middle of the pack.
Yeah, he is. And one more look, we'll take a look at it. Just a little bit of that move down before it goes back up. Now, granted, taller quarterbacks are going to take a little bit longer to get rid of the football, but you saw Drew Brees manipulate that safety earlier. Jason Campbell's trying to get to that point.
3rd and 20, and it's underneath, well short of the first down. Michael Bush takes it to the 29-yard line, and we'll have our first punt of the game from Shane Leckler.
And how you think about it, these guys run the 40-yard dash in, 4.3 seconds? Well, that was like 0.2 seconds, and so that a lot of times translates to 3, 4, 5 yards with the way that some of these guys in the secondary can move.
Leckler, a great punter, but still only the 2nd best in Raider history because nobody's going to beat Ray Guy. And you have Montez Billings, and he gets tackled at the 22-yard line. A couple of minutes into the 2nd quarter. Brees has been in midseason form in this preseason game from Oakland. Back he comes. That has been an extremely potent combination. Sean Payton as the coach and Drew Brees as the quarterback, highest points per game. In combo, you go back to Dan Fouts and Air Coryell. Steve Young and George Seifert took Bill Walsh's place, and then Elway and Shanahan in Denver. You have Rivers and Norv Turner, and Brees and Payton. 27 points per game. Shanahan factoring into that Steve Young thing as well because he was the offensive coordinator for 3 seasons in San Francisco. Mark Ingram is the running back here from the 22-yard line, and Brees throws, and that's caught up at the 41-yard line by Jimmy Graham. The tight end seeing plenty of action tonight, and Drew Brees 11 out of 15 for 159 yards already, 19 yards here.
Well, Cameron Wembley wasn't having much luck against Zach Strief, so he goes over to the other side now against Jermon Bushrod and just comes low and forces Brees to step up out of the pocket. And I'll tell you this, Jimmy Graham is picking up right where he left off a season ago. It was so hot at the end of the year. Made some nice plays here too.
Brees, good play fake, buys extra time and shoots it underneath to the Heisman Trophy winner from 2 seasons ago, Ingram, near midfield.
Do you see a little bit of Emmitt Smith in him? Everybody always likes to make the comparison, and I asked him, Ingram, whether or not he, how he felt about that comparison, and he said, I hate it. He said it's a huge insult to Emmitt. I mean, here's the all-time leading rusher. Give me a break. This is my first year in here, but everybody always wants to kind of put you in a category, but that one really makes him uncomfortable.
You can only hope.
Yeah.
Down the line, 2nd and 4. Sproles. It's always dubious to say, well, this guy is going to be the next or reminds me of whatever, because then the next thing, everybody goes, oh, no, he hasn't done anything yet. What's he done? But people are just saying, hey, look, down the line, he has the characteristics of, and who knows?
Yeah, well, as long as you run behind guys like Jari Evans, you're going to feel pretty good about it. It was interesting, wasn't it, listening to Sean Payton talk about this group of running backs. He feels like this is the best group of running backs he's ever been around, and that's quite a statement and really pretty good news for Drew Brees.
That yellow line was perfect. They're that much shy of the first down, about the length of the football. 3rd and 1. There's Ingram, the rookie. And you've got Sproles, who's going to be the 3rd down guy, and specialist, and Thomas. And again, Chris Ivory, their leading rusher last year. Minor injury, not playing tonight, but another guy who just adds to that tremendous depth.
And you could see how much they fell off running the football a season ago.
3rd and 1. Through the middle. Hole is big enough, and there goes the rookie Ingram to the Oakland 45-yard line, and a New Orleans 1st down.
I tell you, they have not run a short yardage or goal line play yet behind anybody other than Jari Evans, and I don't blame him. There he is right here. Just play a little power football in there.
A little extra leverage from Corey Hall, the fullback, as well.
Yeah, they've got quite a battle going on at that fullback position too, don't they?
They've got Hall, and they've got Jed Collins, who's been with about 100 teams in 4 years, but he's trying to latch on, and they like him so far. Incomplete. That time it's Rolando McLean blitzing through, forcing the issue. Brees has to get it away. 2nd and 10.
Well, Rolando McLean's going to come up right here, and Brian De La Fuente, who's in there for Carl Nix at guard, probably didn't get off soon enough in that protection. Is able to get a shot at least on Drew Brees. If I'm not mistaken, that's the first contact they've had against him.
2nd and 10. Talked about Carl Nix, the Pro Bowl guard. He's out tonight. Should have him back by Green Bay, and that play goes nowhere. That's Darren Sproles, and the Raiders were able to break that up. Loss of 4 yards. Wembley and Boyd in on the tackle.
Well, Cameron Wembley, this is, I think, where he's still most comfortable with his hand down. He's been playing strong side linebacker, but boy, did he react to that and get out there. Very athletic guy, as are a bunch of these guys on the Raiders. Pretty versatile role players, but Wembley, he was their star last year and got paid like one this offseason.
3rd and 14. Have to get to the 35 to convert. Flag is thrown. And that'll be short of the 1st down. Graham makes the catch. Flag is at the line of scrimmage.
Offside. Defense number 94 lined up in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty. Replay. 3rd down.
Jarvis Moss costing them 5 yards and giving the Saints another play.
Yeah. Jarvis Moss, the former #1 pick. You can see him right over that red line right there, and that's a good call by the officials.
Well, the Raiders are up among the league leaders in penalties every year. Last year, the Raiders had 148 penalties. That's the most by any team in the NFL in 12 years. And a penalty hurt them on the offensive drive, and now a penalty gives New Orleans another chance to on the other side of the ball, and it's 3rd down and 9. And Breeze wasn't ready for the snap. That caught him off guard. But still he recovers and throws and hits Graham, and that's a 1st down. Boyd makes the tackle, so the penalty gives him the extra play. And despite Breeze getting surprised by the snap, they move the chains again.
That time they're coming with a slot blitz off of this side. And somebody on the edge, was that Bushrod? I don't know who it was. A late snap count. No, De La Puente comes off and saves his quarterback, because Breeze really wasn't ready to do anything there, and somehow they managed to turn it into a 1st down.
So Breeze and Olin Kreutz, the Pro Bowl longtime center from the Chicago Bears, still trying to get on the same page.
First charge timeout. New Orleans.
And the Saints take a timeout. 14-7 Saints. Coming up, a new comedy series. It's called Whitney. It stars Whitney Cummings doing things her way after The Office Thursday nights this fall on NBC. City Hall, Oakland, California. Up the freeway from the Coliseum, longtime home of the Raiders. 1st down from the 25-yard line as Breeze has been spreading it around. Underthrows the tight end Graham that time, but he's able to turn back, recover, and make the catch for a gain of 9 yards.
Well, this is one problem that Cameron Wembley's going to have as a guy that's used to rushing the passer. Wembley with his back turned, so Breeze just takes advantage and throws a back shoulder throw to Jimmy Graham.
2nd down and 1. Through the middle, they give the ball to Mark Ingram to get that short yardage.
How about Drew Brees so far tonight? He's spreading this thing around to everybody, isn't he? One of the things they were looking to do was pass it to everybody, and they certainly have done that, although Jimmy Graham has gotten the lion's share. Last night when you were talking with him, was taking some notes. He wanted to look sharp, score points every time we touch the ball, play with great tempo, spread the ball around. Check, 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 and check so far.
Look sharp, be sharp.
There we go. He looks fantastic.
He can shave before the game. From the 15. And Breeze from the sunshine into the shade, incomplete. Intended for Graham.
You know, I think Jimmy Graham was all for throwing it high and letting me take advantage, except when there's a safety coming for my rib cage here. When you're running these slants inside and you throw it up high, yeah, it's usually a little better to leave one arm down around that rib cage there. He took a shot, but really it looked like Tyvin Branch, the strong safety, took more of a shot. Graham's a big guy.
Yeah, Graham came off the field. This is the 11th play of the drive. From the 15-yard line, and that pass is incomplete. The coverage is tight. The coverage is perfect. It's Stanford's route, making sure that Marcus Colston couldn't get the angle on it. 3rd down and 10.
Right in their face, one-on-one. No doubt you were going to get this jump ball, and watch this play by Stanford route. That's just perfectly played. He forced him into the boundary, left nowhere for Breeze to throw the football. Really well done for a guy that now is the #1 corner for the Raiders now that Nnamdi Asomugha is gone.
3rd and 10, halfway through the 2nd quarter. Breeze under pressure, and underneath the pass is incomplete. So the Raider defense stiffens. Matt Shaughnessy put the heat on Breeze. Drew expressing his frustration. It's 4th down, and in comes Hartley's field goal unit.
Yeah, that's a good call. Matt Shaughnessy is a guy, really a high motor, high effort guy. Had 7 sacks a year ago. I really like him. I think he's, everybody talks about Lamar Houston on the other side, but this Matt Shaughnessy is impressive.
Garrett Hartley with a 33-yard field goal attempt. Down the middle, that one goes. The 3 scoring drives for the Saints, who now lead 17-7 at Oakland. Key Raider losses in the offseason. You know about Asomugha, but he thought he was going to go to the Jets or maybe the Cowboys. He winds up at Philadelphia. Gallery was a one-time #1 pick. Was here for a number of years, and then he signed with Seattle, as did Zach Miller, which was pretty surprising because Miller was a big part of that offense, the tight end going up north to Pete Carroll's team. They got Kevin Boss from the Giants. He's hurt tonight, and they get Trent Edwards, who used to be at Buffalo and Jacksonville, and then last week Terrell Pryor got picked in the 3rd round of the supplemental draft. Talked about him at the Open.
Yeah, I think Pryor will start as a quarterback. I'm not sure he'll be there in the long run.
And we won't find out for at least 5 weeks because he is ineligible to play because of the suspension that was handed down at Ohio State, and then the suspension handed to him by Roger Goodell. One hopper, Taiwan Jones out to the 18-yard line. Sean Payton came to the Saints post-Katrina, and we all know the story. Payton had been with Bill Parcells at Dallas. Before that, he was with New York. Before that, he was at Philadelphia. And at one point, following the 03 season, Payton came out here and talked. There's Al Davis, the longtime owner of the Raiders and president of the General Partners, the title that he's given himself through the years. And Payton was about ready to sign as the Oakland Raiders head coach. But instead, he wound up going back to Dallas. And we'll give you the rest of the story in a second. And this was Taiwan Jones. The Raiders never officially offered him the deal, and they were talking about a contract, and he spent a lot of time with Davis. But then Payton went back and he talked to some guys that he respects a lot, and they suggested he not do it, and he didn't do it.
Yeah, and Bill Parcells said, listen, Sean, is it okay if I talk to you like I'm your dad instead of your head coach for once? And he said, sure. He said, I'm going to tell you, I don't think you're quite ready. And Sean thought about it, and he said, you know, a couple more years with Bill Parcells probably a good idea. And today was the day, though, that Sean Payton went up and paid his respects to Al Davis before the game, walked up maybe an hour before the game and spent 15, 20 minutes with him. And I saw him on the field right before kickoff, and he said, I got to tell you, I was still a little intimidated being around Al Davis. He's a guy that is such a legend in this game, and for the people in the NFL, they all have immense respect for Al Davis. Sometimes he gets a little beat up in the press, but you talk to football people, and they all have immense respect for that man.
Now in his 80s, 3rd down and 6. Well, the other thing, just to fill out the story, is that Sean did talk to a couple of former Raider coaches at that point, namely John Gruden and Bill Callahan, and he got their input as well. 3rd down and 6. And the pass is incomplete. There's a flag thrown, and the crowd wants interference, and they'll probably get it.
Pass interference. Defense, number 51. Spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
That's Jonathan Vilma, the middle linebacker, whose assignment on that play was to take the running back on a pass route.
I tell you, I like what I'm seeing out of Jason Campbell. He sees the man coverage on his back here from Jonathan Vilma and is just going to take advantage of it. Vilma really doesn't get his head turned back around, illegal contact. But Jason Campbell now 3 or 4 times in this game has made either good checks or good reads throwing to the right guy.
5:50 left in the half. Good tight coverage, but the pass thrown right into the arms of Darius Hayward-Bay. And pass is incomplete. Line of scrimmage, the 40, 2nd down and 10. Jabari Greer is there. Couldn't hold on.
Yeah, Jabari Greer kind of all over him, but in the NFL, that's the catch you have to make. And for all the speed wide receivers they have out here, you got to find somebody that can make that play and convert first downs for you. Maybe Derek Hagan is that guy.
Just saw a shot of Cameron Jordan. He's their #1 draft pick. Played his college football a few miles up the road in Berkeley with the University of California. Son of the former NFLer Steve Jordan. And you get the play clock going to 0. Delay a game.
5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
Well, you got to be like Peyton Manning, a little more frenetic up there at the line of scrimmage. He had the right idea. He saw the soft zone coverage, the 2 deep safety. He was checking to a run and just has to get there a little bit faster. But I'll tell you, that Hugh Jackson, he was a fun guy to talk to yesterday, wasn't he? He's kind of like a Rex Ryan, kind of high energy, always positive, selling the program, really believes in what he's doing out here, and the players with the Raiders are buying in.
And still calling the plays, even though they brought Al Saunders into town, the longtime offensive guru. And then this is Nick Miller taken down at the 42. They bring Saunders in But Jackson is still going to call the plays. He's still on the mic to Campbell, and the reason Jackson got the job is that Al Davis was impressed enough with the job he did as the play caller last year when the Raiders averaged 35 points a game in division games. They swept all 6 in the AFC West, and he got the nod after Tom Cable got canned.
And they actually scored more points than the New Orleans Saints did last year. They averaged 25.6 points a game, the Saints 24.
3rd and 8. And Campbell, somehow the ball winds up in the arms of Stephon Hire. And the 6'6", 330-pounder, one-time University of Maryland Terp and Baltimore Raven, picks up a first down all the way to the 42-yard line. And the officials will now discuss how the ball wound up in Hire's hands.
Who cares? It's preseason. This is great. Will Smith on the outside is going to knock it down right into the hands of Stephon Hire, and he makes an incredible catch, and then he has no thought of making a move. He's going in one direction.
Holding. The ball had already been thrown by the quarterback and was touched by a defensive player, which made the offense eligible. The result is a first down.
There you go.
Do we see a lot of plays like that or what? Remember in New England last year, the kickoff return on the play?
Oh, yeah. Donnelly.
Oh, get out of here. There you go. I tell you, they just don't give offensive linemen the ball. And look at that, holding it like a breadbasket there. That is hilarious. Stephon Hire. What's the reaction time here? That is impressive.
It's impressive until they said, "What's this?" from the 43. Play action. Deep down the middle and incomplete. Good coverage converging on Denarius Moore right over the middle. 2nd down and 10. Raiders unbeaten in the division, but 2-8 outside the division. So they sweep the division, but Kansas City still won it. 35.8 points per game in their turnover margin, but then they get outside the comfort zone, and you see what happened to them. Not half as many points per game.
But you know, 8-8 is a step. And you look at the weapons they have, and a lot of those weapons aren't playing here tonight. Their top 3 receivers and their top running back, and they're still moving the ball pretty well.
2nd down and 10, getting him by the shirt. Taiwan Jones is taken down by Scott Shanley. Well, 8-8's a step, and you're right, because 11 straight losses, or 11 losses in 7 straight seasons. And if you go back to the last time the Raiders were in the Super Bowl after the 2002 season, and they were knocked off by John Gruden's Tampa Bay Bucks, since that time, the Raiders have had the 2nd worst record in the league, second only to the Lions. Third and 3. Under pressure, gets it off to Jones with room to roam. Flag is thrown, however. And Jones will take it inside the 5-yard line, but a marker early in the play. And the Raiders already starting to come back.
Yeah, they got a pick on the slot guy, and it was not too subtle of one either. Brandon Myers.
Offense, number 83, 10-yard penalty. Replay, 3rd down.
Brandon Myers, pick and roll. Okay in the NBA, not so good here.
Yeah, Brandon Myers going to come down on the inside. They get their man coverage, but you got to be a little subtle here. You just can't throw a cross body block and get away with it. Remember, every one of these referees out here, they have an assigned receiver, so they are watching only that receiver. That was very nicely picked up that time by the back judge.
And an interesting little side note about this officiating crew we'll get to in 1 second. 3rd down and 13. And the pass is caught 39-yard line. Because of the storm, because of Irene on the East Coast, that line judge and head linesman on this crew couldn't make it out of the East, so Darrell Lewis becomes the line judge and John McGrath becomes the head linesman. They're normally not part of this crew, but where were they? They officiated last night in San Francisco because the 49ers were home against the Houston Texans. So they get per diem for an extra day and the bridge toll, and they're here tonight.
That wasn't part of the CBA, huh?
Right. 57-yard attempt for Janikowski, who's got a great leg, well within his range, and perfect. Doing it for years. Janikowski off the dirt, 57 away. That's why he's a regular in Hawaii every February. Longest field goals in Janikowski's career. He kicked a 61-yarder at Cleveland. I want to amend something. He should have been a regular in Honolulu, but it's a source of major consternation amongst Raider Nation and their fans that he has not gone to the Pro Bowl despite an illustrious career here, because he's been in the same conference with Adam Vinatieri and Nate Kading and other guys who keep getting that trip to Hawaii. So if he's been a regular in Honolulu, he's paid his own way.
You know, I asked him before the game, what's the longest field goal ever made? He said 82 yards in high school practice.
Touchback here. And let's check in more about Seabass, the guy they called Seabass. Here's Michelle.
Well, I was told that in Napa, he kicked a 64-yarder in front of a bunch of Raiders fans who had gone up there to watch Al and Chris. And I talked to him about it on the field, and he grinned big and said, yeah, and thinks he can do that again tonight as long as the wind is at his back. So he's a jovial guy and loves his job. It would be fun to see that here tonight, wouldn't it?
It would be great to see it be a 61 off the dirt. Meanwhile, Breeze is done. Chase Daniel is the new quarterback. And the third-year quarterback who played college football at Missouri takes over here. And the pass is incomplete. By the way, the NFL record for longest field goal is 63 yards. That's the famous Tom Dempsey kick. And then it was a few years ago that Jason Elam pulled it off.
Takes a pretty special circumstance to even get an opportunity, because obviously the ball gets placed where you miss the kick, so it almost has to be at the end of the half or end of the game to even get an opportunity for one of those.
Second down and 10. So Breeze was going to play the first half tonight, and 3 drives, and that's enough. He's in mid-November form, and that pass down the sideline is caught by Meacham. And the ball gets there before Branch can knock him out of bounds with 2:19.
Well, Chase Daniels doing a little Drew Brees imitation here. Watch him look off the safety himself. A little pump fake down the middle. Hold that safety. Now go get him out there. Really makes a difference. I tell you, receivers appreciate it too. You still get hit, just not quite as hard.
He was also ringing at it. He was ringing at his hand as well. He got hit on his hand after he released, and he's going to go to the bench to take the extra moment here as we go to the 2-minute warning. 2 minutes left in the half. 17-10 Saints. Good to see Times Square looking like Times Square, quite in contrast to 24 hours ago. So coming up at the half, Brian Williams in our NBC News studio, and he'll have the latest news on Irene and the aftermath of the storm that raked the eastern seaboard. John Madden, the old coach, our old partner, one of the all-time greats in so many areas, is here. John, the fabled Raider coach, Hall of Famer, living in nearby Pleasanton, and here tonight as the pass is intended for Sproles, incomplete. I mentioned that Daniel had gotten hit ringing at his hand. We'll take a look at it.
Happens all the time. Usually you kind of hit that thumb when you turn your hand over, making that release on the helmet of the guy coming in at you. I wonder if that one had a little impact on that next throw, because it wasn't close.
2nd and 10. Great protection, deep downfield and off the hands of Devery Henderson. He had the safety back there with him. Tyvon Branch covering on the play. It'll be 3rd down and 10.
Well, we've seen a lot of slot blitzes, but this time you end up with a double safety blitz coming from the Raiders. I think they're sick and tired of watching the Saints going up and down the field, trying to apply a little pressure here. Chuck Bresnahan, the new defensive coordinator, even the old defensive coordinator back in the days when they had some pretty darn good defenses around here.
He was a defensive coordinator in their Super Bowl year 02, 3rd down and 10. And Daniel gets rushed and then swallowed up for a sack. Desmond Bryant, number 90, and Lamar Houston, 99, are both there for the sack, and the Saints will punt.
Well, you're going to end up with right here, De La Puente is going to end up blocking nobody. And they, in reality, it looked like a slide protection, but they're supposed to go that way to his right and help a little bit. I think it was Jari Evans was a little surprised that he didn't get any support from his friends.
Thomas Morstead for the Saints' first punt of the game. Nick Miller sets up at his 15. Hauls it in at the 18-yard line. And Miller gets spilled up at the 33-yard line. Abdul Kiedis sent him into a somersault. Sunday Night Football being brought to you by Apollo 18 in theaters everywhere Friday. By Verizon, the official wireless service provider of the NFL. And by Toyota. USS Hornet, the aircraft carrier, saw service in World War II and in Vietnam. Currently in a museum in nearby Alameda. And that was the recovery ship for Apollo 11 back in 1969. First down from the 33-yard line. And Campbell backs up and sets up the screen, and Michael Bush takes it for a first down up to the 45-yard lines. The Raiders have 2 timeouts.
It's a great opportunity here for Jason Campbell to get a 2-minute drill in. This is probably the last time this offense will play together. Just perfect timing. Great opportunity here.
To the outside, swinging it there. Denarius Moore takes the ball into Saints territory, out of bounds at the 48-yard line.
You know, so many of those first-string weapons not out there for Jason Campbell. They spent a lot of time this summer at his home on the East Coast and just not having the opportunity to work with his first-line guys. But still a pretty nice night tonight. Obviously, Drew Brees was sensational, but Jason Campbell's been sharp too.
Had a lot of the guys staying with him back at his home in Virginia. 2nd down and 3. And that is caught by Derek Hagan, and Hagan, who scored a touchdown at the end of their first drive. Campbell calls a timeout. He'll take the ball all the way down to the 26-yard line. Timeout. Some Saints fans in the Coliseum here in Oakland. And one of them thinking about making the trip to Green Bay.
Yeah, well, you know, they had that, they spent a week in training camp out here in California. They're sort of becoming the new America's team, I guess. A lot of Saints fans out there enjoying seeing their team.
Yeah, they were in Oxnard in Southern California, where the Cowboys have spent some training time over the years. And Sean Payton and the gang said it was a great 5 or 6 days. And Campbell throws to the end zone. It's deflected and it's intercepted in the end zone. And then almost starting to come out and going down is Jonathan Amaya. So he is the beneficiary of the batted ball and the interception in the end zone. And that will end Oakland's last opportunity of the half.
Well, we're going to start with Vilma running back, but then a player that I think everybody in America needs to learn his name. Malcolm Jenkins is one of the top safeties in the game right now. He's going to come over and knock that football away and set up the easy interception. But you found out just how valuable Jenkins was to this Saints team when he didn't play in that playoff game against Seattle, and they desperately missed him that day.
Yeah, Jenkins, cornerback in his rookie year, and then moved to safety. O'Neal down by Daniel in the first half. Pretty good first half. So much for the lockout, so much for missed time, so much for preseason looking any different. Looked pretty good tonight. Raiders get the second half kickoff, 17-10 at the break. Saints coming up next. Brian Williams, the latest news on Irene after these messages from your NBC station. Back to Oakland we come. Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, Michelle Tafoya halftime. New Orleans leading Oakland 17-10. 3 good drives by the Saints, 2 touchdowns and a field goal led by Drew Brees. 207 passing yards for them. Only turned over the game by the Raiders at the end of the half. And well, the Raiders look like they're almost ready for opening day, and the Saints look like they're ready for November.
Yeah, they're ready for the playoffs right now. But I tell you, Hugh Jackson's got them going in the right direction. They doubled their point output a season ago in his first year coming over here, and he has brought the emotion back to this team. These are all young players. You look at the skill positions on this Raider football team, they're all a bunch of kids out there. Jason Campbell is saying he feels like I'm the old man and I'm still in my 20s. But they think they're building something, and you go 6-0 in your division, you probably are.
Notice the way he spells his name. It's not the conventional H-U-G-H, Jackson. It's H-U-E, and it's not for a tint or hue and cry or anything. His mother named him Huey. And he said, I got tired of everybody calling me Baby Huey, so I just shortened it to U. H-U-E Jackson. Morstead with the touchback, and we check in with Michelle.
Well, H-U-E Jackson not real happy at halftime. He said, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not happy. We didn't do very well on defense. We're making it way too easy for the Saints. We've got to attack the ball. So he's not that happy. Sean Payton, on the other hand, pretty satisfied. He's going to leave his first stringers in for the next maybe a series or two each on offense and defense. But he wants to see how Chase Daniels does with that first-team offensive line and some of the wide receivers. That's what he's interested in right now, Al.
All right, thank you, Michelle. And Daniel finished up that first half. Kyle Bowler, meanwhile, will take over for the Raiders, the one-time Baltimore Raven. #1 pick, who was going to be their quarterback of the future, but that didn't pan out. He hands the ball off to the rookie out of Eastern Washington, Tywan Jones, for a first down. Around the left side he goes.
I'll tell you what, Tywan Jones was supposed to run inside. Watch this move. One of the linebackers, I didn't get the number, is right down his wheelhouse. That's Scott Shanley, and Tywan Jones bounces that thing out. They said he is one of the fastest guys they have ever seen carry the football, and I'm starting to believe it.
Well, he's been hurt, so he's seeing his first action right now. And again, you've got a backfield with McFadden and Bush. They also have Michael Bennett on the team. So Jones trying to make his mark. And again to the right side with a nice little slip move there at first, and then he gets taken down by Jolan Dunbar after a short gain.
Well, Stefan Wisniewski, the young guard, is going to take his shot here at Sean Rogers. Sean Rogers had a lot of trouble with that cut block a week ago. And when you put something on film that gives you problems, the next team's going to try and take advantage, and that's what the Raiders are doing here.
Jones again.
Wow.
Jones, a very impressive beginning to this half after the 43-yard line, and that will be another first down. 7 carries for him now for 33 yards.
Watch Wisniewski here get over here for the cutoff block. This is tough to do. Go through a guy, still get on the linebacker. Maybe a tiny bit of a hold there. But that is the game at guard. You've got to be able to help on a double team and get up to that next level. And they're going to have a tough decision. I think the way Samson Satelli is playing at center, they're probably going to end up with Wisniewski at left guard would be my best guess.
From the 43, Bowler again. Off the play fake, throws, caught. Good leaping catch. And a first down to the 25-yard line goes Derek Hagan. So Hagan, amongst all of these young, fast guys, has had a good half. 31 yards for the 5-year veteran.
I'll tell you what, Sean Rogers that time put a big lick on Kyle Bowler. They had him double teamed, but not enough attention paid by Cooper Kyle Corlisle. And he not only got the hit, but it looked like he may have been driving him into the ground. I don't know if it's just the momentum of the hit or not, but that is the Sean Rogers we have seen in the past.
But no penalty called. That's a 4-yard gain here for Tywan Jones. Just because they don't call a penalty doesn't mean you can't get fined. And if you get fined, Sean, don't blame us because the league's going to look at it anyway.
Let's see if he picks him up and drives him in the ground at the tail end of this play. Oh, my gosh. That is unbelievable. That's 350-plus pounds of man on a direct route. And that's unbelievable. And Kyle Bowler got up.
And as we say, on concrete disguised as dirt. 2nd down and 6.
That's really the first Sean Rogers kind of play, though, I've seen.
Jones again. What a series for Taiwan Jones. Touchdown. $22 yards.
This time it's going to be Cooper Carlisle right here getting just enough of the linebacker on the tail end of this thing. But they were telling us this Taiwan Jones is just a flash. And they really felt like that with all the injuries that Darren McFadden's had, they had to have a backup. They may have something more than that. Derek Hagan with a little veteran hold down the field as well.
Jones, born in San Francisco, grew up in Antioch on the East Bay and went to Eastern Washington. Here's Janikowski for the extra point. And that ties the game. 3 minutes into the third. Taiwan Jones, 17-17. Sunday Night Football from Oakland brought to you by Walmart. Save money, live better. Walmart by Corona Extra, inviting you to find your beach. And by Warner Brothers Pictures Contagion in theaters beginning September 9th.
I'm ready to watch a little more Taiwan Jones. What do you think?
I think we're going to see a little bit more Taiwan Jones.
Man, there's a kid that ran for 1,700 yards in the Big Sky Conference at Eastern Washington. That was something. I think the first run we saw was the best one.
Glenn Pakalek this time will kick off. Courtney Roby from the Saints 1. The flag is thrown at the 30-yard line as the run back comes down to the up to the 34-yard line. Gene Steratore to make the call. Sooner or later.
There are 2 fouls on the play. Holding. Return to number 59. Attempted decline. Also during the return, holding number 35 of the return team. 10 yards from the spot of the foul. First down, New Orleans.
Taiwan Jones putting on a show that last drive. Watch this one. Poor Scott Shanley. I got him now. I don't got him. That's like Barry Sanders used to do to guys. Ran a 4.33, and I think all the Raiders run 4.33 or something close to it. But you can see he just has a certain little wiggle to him that looks pretty flashy out there. That was impressive.
Great running back depth if this kid turns into something. Chase Daniel dancing and then finally just heaving it into the Raiders bench as the secondary did its work. Second down and 10.
I'll tell you, Marcus Colston found out what it's like to play on a baseball field. He came down, his route was supposed to be run, stopping on the baseball field. Watch how tentative he is coming out of there. You just can't dig your cleats in. You're so used to running your routes a certain way, and then you just have a certain insecurity when you hit that dirt.
Second and 10. And getting stuffed in the backfield that time. Darrell Blackstock making the acquaintance of one Mark Ingram, knocking him down for a loss of 4.
Just a backside run through here. They're trying to run that stretch play away, and you're going to see him just come downhill here and hit this thing. Really nobody gets there on him, and he takes advantage. Mark Ingram said, never saw that at Alabama.
Third down, 14. Daniel going deep and reaching out and trying to make the catch, but it winds up on the ground as Adrian Arrington. Reaching out for it, laying out for it, but incomplete. Fourth down.
He really makes a pretty nice play on the ball here, Arrington does. And it just pops out, but you're going to see an almost hold right here on De La Puente. He gets beat and hooks that shoulder pad. And remember, if you get a hold in the end zone, that would have been a safety. That one was close.
Morstead to do the booting here. Denarius Moore to run it back. Low line drive kick. That's going to set up a run back to the 49-yard line. And he gets planted at the 43-yard line. Moore beat the first guy, and then Kyle Nelson comes in and says, bang.
It's just preseason right now, just preseason.
1 week from Thursday, September 8th, regular season kicks off right here on NBC. Saints, Packers. And then Sunday night football, September 11th, will be at the Meadowlands where the Jets will host the Dallas Cowboys. 2 games coming up in a week and a half on NBC. This drive starts on the plus side of the field with Taiwan Jones getting the carry here. Gain of 3, 2nd and 7.
Yeah, Martez Wilson, the rookie 3rd rounder, came up to make the tackle there. They've got good battles going on the outside linebacker position on both sides. Really, Scott Shanley, Jonathan Casillas on one side. Martez Wilson, Will Herring, Clint Ingram on the other side. Completely unsettled at this point.
To the outside, and that's a 1st down, and Moore spinning away Derek Hagan. Trying to make sure he secures a spot on this team. And Derek Hagan, the former Giant, has now caught 6 passes for 121 yards tonight and a touchdown.
Derek Hagan may be a bit of a mutter. He likes working this dirt down here. He beat Tracy Porter earlier on the dirt for the touchdown, and now comes back to Jabari Greer on the other side. I think Derek Hagan's making a huge impression for the Raiders tonight.
That ain't no mud. You know that, right?
A dirter?
Well,
I was thinking about it, but I'm not that clever. I went to the University of Florida. I do my best up here. I just couldn't come up with the word,
Let me tell you, they have a racetrack with that kind of dirt on it. They'd be running the 6 furlongs in 1 minute and 5.
Not our horse.
Not your horse. I set you up perfectly that time. 2nd down and 10. Boulder throws, and the catch made by the tight end, Brandon Myers.
Stephen Wisniewski is the guy that 2nd-round draft pick. They're telling us that he will start somewhere. My guess is that the guard position, he's got a little bit of nasty to him like his uncle does. He likes to finish these blocks, drive guys down in the dirt, but I'll tell you the thing that's been impressive for me has been his ability to get to the backside linebacker. That is a difficult proposition, and he's done a nice job of it tonight.
3rd down, 3. Over in the shotgun. Contact made, ball batted, it's incomplete, no flag on the play. Denarius Moore and Jabari Greer got there together. It's 4th down, and Janikowski's group comes out.
Well, as Peyton Manning will tell you, it's a little dangerous to throw those little drive routes against the New Orleans Saints. They're going to play them tough. Jabari Greer's done a nice job on those tonight.
So now Janikowski, who earlier made a 57-yarder, so this would be the equivalent of a chip shot for him, 39 yards. Two for 2 is Seabass. And the Raiders have their first lead, Oakland by 3. Some headlines made in this area last week, and you might have read about it no matter where you are in the country. At Candlestick Park across the bay, Raiders 49ers in a preseason game. It's a preseason rivalry, and 2 shootings in the parking lot. Fan badly beaten up in a restroom, and a lot of consternation in regard to that following it. And a lot of talk around here in particular, these 2 teams talking about security and all of the rest. In a second, Michelle's going to talk to the NFL's head of security about the current state of the situation. Last night, no incidents that we're aware of at Candlestick as they played a game against the Houston Texans there. Pakulak kicks off. Courtney Roby to the 25-yard line. Here's Michelle with a follow-up. Michelle.
Yeah, I'm with Jeff Miller, the chief security officer for the NFL. I know you were at Candlestick last night, Jeff, and how satisfied were you that the changes that they made in their security policies were good for the fans and that the fans are actually safe there now?
I think the fans are very safe there now. Chief Sir, the San Francisco Police Department, along with Jim Mercurio and the stadium security team, did a great job of interacting with the fans at the earliest possible time out in the lots.
In 2008, you came here, and you assessed the Raiders parking lot as one of the most dismal security situations in the NFL. And fair or not, this place has a perception of not being very fan-friendly, not very family-friendly. What's your assessment of how things are today in 2011?
180 degrees different. I mean, the Amy Trask and their team here has worked tirelessly to enact the recommendations that the NFL has worked with them on, and now the fan behavior in this parking lot is tremendous. And the fans come up to you. They love the fact that the police are out there engaging with them, creating a safe environment. If you haven't been here in a while, you need to come back and see it, because it's a lot different than it was in 2008.
Now, after all the turmoil last week between San Francisco and Oakland, the 49ers suggested, let's stop that rivalry in the preseason. Does the NFL want to be capitulating to a certain small group of fans who are causing a lot of trouble for the rest of them?
Well, and certainly that'll be a decision that Commissioner Goodell makes in consultation with the owners. But I really feel like we're going to be able to solve the problem. What happened last week was completely unacceptable. It's something that really caused us a lot of pain in looking at that. But I'm satisfied that we can fix the situation with the plan that we had this past last night. We execute that every single game, we'll be fine.
Jeff, thank you very much. And Al, you know, every fan that comes into this stadium gets a code of conduct sheet handed to them, so they know what's expected, and ticket privileges can be taken away.
Thank you, Michelle. As the drive continues here, there's a flag down as Bell makes the catch, but a penalty marker is thrown. Bruce Davis makes the tackle. And just to follow up on that with Michelle and Jeff, I mean, if you stop the rivalry because a couple of punks, I know this is an overstatement, but you're letting the terrorists win. I mean, you got to continue on. I think
to the quarterback's helmet. Penalty is tacked on to the end of the run. Push down.
Defensive foul, roughing the passer. That's Bruce Davis roughing up the quarterback.
No question about it. Helmet to helmet, the whole bit. And that was an easy call there for Sterator. But Al, to go back what you're talking about, you know, sometimes it takes an incident like that to sort of galvanize the fans that they're not going to take it anymore, you know. I mean, they're all armed now. They have cell phone cameras. They have the ability to text the authorities. And to get people like that out of the stadium, they have no business being here. Don't be afraid to text or call the authorities when you see that kind of stuff happen.
Yeah, that's helped to clean it up in a lot of places, not only around the league, but in all sports. And that's Bell, Joy Bell.
There you go. That's exactly what you can do. Just text Oak. And they'll have somebody there right away. I mean, really, it's come to that point. It's sad in many ways, but there should be a family-friendly atmosphere here, and it is.
I'd like to turn in a couple of guys. And there's a touchdown caught by Torrey Humphrey, the tight end. So Humphrey at the end of this drive, Daniel exults as he goes 75 yards, 5 plays for a touchdown, and the Saints are back on top.
Yeah, a big play for Torrey Humphrey to get a score here. They just lose coverage, the Raiders do, at the tail end of this thing. But Humphrey's one of those guys, probably the third tight end, but he's not only competing against other tight ends on this team, but probably 30 or so tight ends that are going to be cut around the league. They're going to be looking for the best player, and he's one of those guys on the bubble.
Extra point coming up here for Garrett Hartley. So the roughing the passer penalty puts them in position deep in Oakland territory. Saints on top 24-20. Okay, coming up in September, you got Christina Applegate, Will Arnett, Maya Rudolph, and they'll be starring in NBC's new comedy series called Up All Night. Wednesdays this fall, Roger, Stan Jenkins would say, on NBC as we cruise under the San Francisco-Oakland Bay Bridge. And back to the Coliseum. 24-20 Saints. Kickoff will be run back from the 2-yard line. Sean Bedford will run it back, and up the middle he comes. Bodiford out to the 28-yard line.
Drew Brees, Purdue Boilermaker.
Well, there's no doubt who the leader of this football team is. You can see him working the sidelines after every single series. Almost everybody gets a conversation at some point. And, there were a lot of veteran players that really enjoyed the fact that they got to work out without the coaches this offseason. And Drew Brees and Jonathan Vilma on this team sort of led the way. And I think they feel like it really kind of galvanized this team in some ways. They wasted no time whatsoever, Al. They spent a lot of time together this offseason.
Michael Bennett, gain of 2. A lot of the teams did work out in the offseason. We talked about Campbell before, bringing some of his receivers back to Virginia. And Brees may have done the most of all. I mean, he gathered everybody. He was, in effect, the CEO of the offseason. He even went out and shopped for insurance policies so that young guys would come in and not worried about having a career-ending injury.
And you asked him something about politics last night, and his answer was?
We'll see.
Yeah, we're not taking anything off the table. He'd be pretty good, too. I think getting a little taste of all that CBA stuff and the negotiations. And, we were talking about it a little bit, but we've talked to both the owners and the players, and they felt like that basically when the moment occurred that they could look across at each other and they essentially asked the lawyers to leave the room, that's when the movement really started and probably saved the season.
And made it a lot more stable over the next 10 seasons. Nick Miller makes the catch. Well, Brees mentioned at the top Sports Illustrated Sportsman of the Year that 09 season, totally unforgettable. And you go back to the fact that in San Diego, I mean, he could have been there for a long time. But then they drafted Eli Manning. He didn't want to go. They got Phillip Rivers in that trade. Chargers had to decide between Rivers and Brees, and they chose Phillip. Not that they regret it. The tackle made on Bennett here. But then Brees goes to New Orleans after Miami, in effect, passes on him because they didn't like the fact that his shoulder didn't look that good, they thought, after the surgery he needed following his San Diego days. And then, of course, the rest is a storybook tale. Post-Katrina, Peyton comes, Brees comes. They have a really good year in 06, and then they win it all in 09.
And sometimes you get that perfect quarterback-coach mix. And you just get the feeling that those two guys, sometimes I get them confused when I'm talking to one or the other. You can almost, separate them at birth kind of thing. They bring a ton of energy. One of my favorite things to watch is when they go into practice on Friday. They do sort of their goal line situation, ones against the ones, first string offense, first string defense, and they go at it. I mean, there's a few side bets on the line. They're out there having some fun, but they really feel like that's the reason defensively they are as good as they are down around in the red zone, because they go after it that way on every Friday.
Leckler into punt. Andy Tanner will have an opportunity to run this one back. Tanner, first-year player from Midwestern State, and all he can do is call for a fair catch. 3:49 left in the third. Saints by 4 points. Above the Coliseum and the arena next to it in Oakland. 24-20 Raiders rushing defense, as you can see, Chris, since 2007, right near the bottom.
Yeah, and I think a big part of that is the fact that playing this man coverage as much as they do, they tend to give up a lot of long runs that distorts that a bit.
Ball is dropped out here by Bell.
And so much of this is, the Raiders last year allowed 7 runs of 40 or more yards. And over the last 2 years, 13 runs of 40 or more yards. And that's most in the NFL. And what happens is, you've got your front 7 banging away, you're doing all right, and all of a sudden you're in man coverage, and you have your corners chasing wide receivers down the field, and the running backs flying out right behind them. And so sometimes, a little run, man, zone, blitz, kind of mix it up is a little bit more effective way to try and stop the run. Now, I think against the pass, the way they play that man coverage, especially with a guy like Nnamdi Asomugha, is tremendous, but you do get gouged for those long runs sometimes, and that's been skewing this run average.
And Bresnahan brought back after he was here for 4 years, and there he is. His father was an assistant coach, Tom, with the Buffalo Bills. Went with the Bills to 4 Super Bowls. Chuck went with the Raiders to 1, so that Bresnahan family 0 for 5 in the Super Bowls, and looking for just one Lombardi trophy at the end of the day. Here's Arrington for a first down. Let's go to Michelle.
Well, I'm with Richard Seymour, who is not playing tonight, but they've been talking about the run defense up in the booth, Richard, and it's been an Achilles heel for this defense for quite some time. How do you guys shore that up? What's going on?
Well, I think, just with more consistency, we have a new defensive coordinator, and, I just think the change in, for us defensively, we just have to get it done. I just think, no matter who's the coordinator, who's the players out on the field, everyone has to be on the same page. And, I think we started out when you're just looking at our division. We've been good inside of the division, but then when we got outside of the division, we really didn't get much done. So.
Well, one thing, Michelle, not only do they have to shore up the run defense, they have to shore up the pass defense. That was Bell, who was open by 20 yards and then breaks tackles on his way down to the 15.
Yeah, I think it's number 48, Bonnie Jaju, who just ended up a little bit lost, didn't see the back coming out of the backfield. And Joy Bell makes a sensational run. Got hurt earlier in the preseason, and with all the great backs they've got on this team, they still like him. He was almost in a position where he was the man if they had moved on in the playoffs last year because so many guys got hurt.
Hurled over Chimdi Chekwa and carry here by Bell for a gain of 5. Get a flag on the play. Let's go back to Michelle.
Well, Richard, you've been part of 3 Super Bowl championships with New England. What specifically do the Raiders need to do? They haven't been to the playoffs since 2002. Desperately want to get back. What are the specifics? Where do the improvements have to come?
Well, I just think just consistency in everything that we do, offensively, defensively, and also special teams, and everyone just being on the same page, it doesn't happen overnight. I just think, the things that we can do in the offseason, preparing, and also in training camp. I think, everyone knows we have the talent, but talent alone doesn't get it done. We have to get it done in training camp and preseason. And, it's times like this where you build the bond as a team. And, I think, we can get it done, but we just have to do it.
Richard, thanks for the time. We look forward to seeing you active.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Michelle. Seymour coming over, and when we got traded over here, everybody around the league was shocked. 1st and 15, and that pass is thrown out of bounds. Montez Billings cutting across the middle of the end zone, but had no chance to haul it in, and Daniel said that one's on me, Montez.
Yeah, it is, because Montez was wide open on this one. Watch this. He comes down inside, and there's going to be not a soul around him, and just couldn't get him the ball fast enough. Missed opportunity, but we talk a little bit about that run defense, Al. And defense it's a discipline. You've got to do your assignment, and the Raiders have to make sure that everybody is not trying to go get their sacks or get their tackle total up. They're doing their simple assignment. And maybe last year and the last couple years, sometimes guys want to go for a few stats instead of just sitting in their gap and making their play and not worry about what the guy next to you is doing. You got to maintain that spot on the field. And a few old pros I talked to down there that have been associated with the Raiders are telling me if they get that a little more discipline, maybe they can get it turned around.
But make sure you define what a 3-technique tackle is before you go any further. You looked at me, you know me too well. 3rd and 15. And a little screen that's set up nicely for Ingram, and Ingram will pick up the first down. So on 3rd and long, he gets 17, and that turns it into a first down and goal for the Saints.
I tell you, Mark Ingram may not have the best 40-yard dash time, but the first 10 yards that this guy runs, watch how quickly he accelerates after he catches this ball. He just has that burst that gets him into the secondary. If I'm not mistaken, at the combine, I think he had the fastest 10-yard time of anybody out there, and he is a physical guy once you get to the point of contact.
Went by his old teammate from Walker McFadden, next one to Auburn in Alabama, so they're going each other on the playing fields in Alabama. That's a 1-yard gain for Joy Bell, who had the big 60-yarder. 2nd down and goal, and we have a half a minute to go in the 3rd period.
That was one of those sort of half-hearted jumps there, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It kind of never, I don't know, he didn't get his feet planted or something. Kind of half jumped over that one. There he goes, kind of in there, and no. See where they go now. Jari Evans is out of the game. See if they stay over the right guard still.
Bell is the back, the fake to him. Daniel throws. Coverage is good. And the pass is incomplete at the goal line. That was Sterling Moore knocking it down with 1 tick left on the clock.
It's a good job by Sterling Moore there, making a play on the goal line. No reason to sit back on a play like this. This is a play, though, that Chase Daniels, if you throw it right at the receiver's feet, usually you get an opportunity to make that play. You'll see Peyton Manning and those guys drill that one low.
Quarter ends on this play, 3rd and goal. And diving into the end zone for a touchdown. The New Orleans Saints will pad their lead with the extra point to 11 as Bell has a great series.
Boy, Joik Bell, that wasn't a half-hearted jump there. He got up and over and watch him extend the football. It may have been close otherwise. Sticks that thing, just jumps right over the top of the linebacker Darrell Blackstock. Ball in hand, always a little risky, but got away with it.
Every touchdown gets reviewed. It's affirmed. They're going to go for 2 points now to try to make it a 12-point lead, and that pass converts to Arrington. And that will end the quarter with 8 more points tacked on. End of 3, Saints by a dozen. And NBC Sunday Night Football continues after these messages. Aerial coverage from the Bay Area tonight brought to you by Goodyear. Now Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, and Michelle Tafoya. Across the bay from San Francisco in the East Bay and Oakland. 32-20. New Orleans on top. Saints going home after the game. They'll take on Tennessee on Thursday. Then go to Green Bay the following Thursday. Raiders play in Seattle Friday and then open 2 weeks from Monday against Denver at Mile High. Here's Nick Miller running the kickback. 18-yard line.
Well, there's Terrell Pryor, who was recently taken by the Oakland Raiders, playing a little quarterback in pregame warm-up. Went in, and he's not on the sideline anymore, but it's going to be an interesting decision for the Raiders, don't you think? I'm sure they're going to give him a shot at quarterback, but after that 40-yard dash that he ran on his pro day, there's going to be a lot of interest in seeing him sort of play that speed tight end or wide receiver kind of role.
Many subplots here. Trent Edwards is the quarterback, and there goes Jones again. Taiwan Jones making a splash. In regard to Pryor, we're talking about a lot of things here. Number one, was he going to get drafted in the supplemental draft? Some people thought maybe not. Raiders had a 3rd-round pick. They didn't have a 2nd or a 4th, though. They will not have a 3rd-round pick now in the 2012 draft. And the most interesting thing, of course, Chris, is the fact that he will be suspended for the first 5 games of the season, which would match the suspension that he would have incurred had he stayed at Ohio State. We'll go through the timeline with Terrell Pryor playing for the Buckeyes, and it all unraveled in Columbus. His career at Ohio State, 31-4 under Jim Tressel. Then suspended in December, merchandise for tattoos. Leaves Ohio State after Tressel is gone. Ruled ineligible for eligible for the supplemental draft, but ineligible in the NCAA. 3rd-round pick here. A lot of people think, Chris, that Roger Goodell was just matching up what would have been in college with the NFL. Maybe a little bit more than that, though, I think.
Yeah, but it's a new precedent. We haven't seen that happen before, where they carry NCAA sanctions over into the NFL, and it's going to be interesting to see if the Players Association ends up appealing it. Pryor said if the Raiders want to appeal it, that's fine with him. I'm not sure he wants to have all that dredged up again and relive.
Indications are it won't. Meanwhile, here is Jones, and Taiwan Jones out to the 49-yard line. We were talking about him in camp as a possible future star, and he's showing a lot of that tonight.
I tell you, he's got a little Chris Johnson in him, and I know that's some kind of statement, but we haven't seen anybody be able to get this kid on the ground so far. That's about the 2nd time tonight we've seen him come to a complete stop, go back the other way, and make people miss, he has been very, very impressive.
12 runs for 75 yards. And that pass is incomplete, intended for Sean Botiford. Here's Michelle again.
Well, regarding Terrell Pryor, I spoke to his attorney, David Cornwell, today, and he said he does not know why the NFL Players Association is not appealing that 5-game suspension. And he said if they wanted to tomorrow, they've got Cornwell's blessing and Terrell Pryor's blessing to do so, because they do want to test these waters and find out if the NFL is going to extend, be kind of an arm of the NCAA in implementing these suspensions, Al.
Well, as Chris just said, I think one of the things that maybe that mitigates against that is the fact he doesn't want to get dredged up again. Here's Jones.
You know, the other thing, I don't think that they want college players using the NFL against the NCAA. So, in other words, if Pryor had gone in and said, okay, fine, you want to suspend me for 5 games? I'm going to go to the NFL. And if the NFL just allows him to come in and get paid, that sets a bad precedent for the NCAA. And, of course, the NFL always wants to maintain that relationship with their college partners.
I think that sums it up perfectly. 3rd down and 10. Edwards loses the ball, and the Saints are right there at the 39-yard line. As Gillette comes up with the fumble recovery after Edwards trying to win that number 2 spot in that battle with Bowler. Can't handle the football. The PGA Tour playoffs of the FedEx Cup continue with the Deutsche Bank Championship from Massachusetts on Golf Channel, and continuing next Sunday at 3 Eastern Time on NBC. Look at the Bay Bridge. Beautiful early evening, Oakland. After the turnover, Daniel throws, and wide open again is Arrington, who caught the 2-point conversion, and that Raider pass defense is just broken down completely on the last 2 Saints series. Touchdown, New Orleans.
Well, it's all going to start up front, first of all. A lot of guys fighting for a job inside. There's Matt Tennant, who will eventually be the center probably around here in New Orleans. But we have seen the Raiders really foul up some coverages on the outside. That time the cornerback looked like he bit on the underneath route and just was nowhere to be found. I don't want to tell you for sure, but my guess is Joe Porter should have been back in that 3rd.
And the Saints are going to line up for another 2-point conversion. Why not?
Or why?
Yeah, well, get to run another play with this group, and it gives them an opportunity for 2 more points because you've got Bell going in for the conversion. Joy Bell. Saints have doubled the Raider total, 40-20. The official fantasy game of the NFL. The first and only game with in-game video highlights, free and easy to play. And you can sign up today at NFL.com/fantasy. Raiderettes. Oakland. Coliseum. Been around since the mid-'60s. There's Breeze and Daniel.
Going, that worked. Yep, that worked.
That worked.
That worked.
Everything worked. On to Wisconsin. 377 passing yards tonight for the Saints. Morris gets kicked, a couple of yards deep in the end zone. Botiford to run it back. And the Raiders will have the ball up at the 23-yard line.
Well, I tell you, for me tonight, one of the major stories is the play of Taiwan Jones, who is essentially the 3rd-string running back. But he has some magic to him. Not only has he been running inside, he has been making people look silly on the outside. Tremendous speed, but sometimes those speed guys, it doesn't translate when you're running between the tackles. But like Chris Johnson, it seems to translate for Taiwan Jones.
From the 22-yard line, Jones again through the middle. He goes to the 28-yard line where Casillas makes the tackle. It's a great story if he made it, because Bay Area guy going to Eastern Washington after growing up in this area.
Well, here we go with the draft choice Cameron Jordan. He's going to get a double facial on that one. No matter how quick you may be, when 650 pounds comes down on you, you're going to go backwards.
2nd and 4. Tipped and incomplete. Jordan with great bloodlines, of course. His father, Steve Jordan, played for the Minnesota Vikings after a college career at Brown, and went up the road here to Berkeley. And Dad was a 6-time Pro Bowler.
Yeah, and Cam Jordan's a guy that's trying to learn a lot, as are a lot of these guys. You know, I mean, this is a relatively new look up front with Sean Rogers. How's he going to fit in? Cam Jordan, how's he going to fit in? But all the reports are that he was as advertised. Holy cow.
Yep. The world collapses, and that's Jonathan Casillas trying to win the starting job at one of the outside backer positions, getting credit for the sack here.
All right, now I found out why Taiwan Jones may not be playing all the time. When you have a speed guy, what do? You attack him in the backfield, and Taiwan Jones this time is going to try to step up, and Casillas is going to say, welcome to the NFL. Right through him. And I tell you, quarterbacks, as much as they love long runs and big pass plays, you can't have that. So then you become a specialist if you can't pick up those blitzes.
Leckler with a booming kick. And all the way to the 18-yard line. Tanner backs up to that spot. And the run back of 11 yards out to the 29-yard line. With 11 and a half to go in the fourth quarter in Oakland. Coming in for a landing, the Saints 40-20. Well, the reason the Saints have been going for the two-point conversion is Garrett Hartley, their outstanding kicker, tweaked his hip. He had an ice pack on it just before he took that shot, and this is where it happened. On an extra point earlier in the game, so they sit him down. And this is Bell. And Bell doing for the Saints what Jones is doing for Oakland. Picks up a first down on a gain of 25 yards.
You know, it's not an insignificant thing when your kicker ends up holding his hip over there, but for Joique Bell, this has been an impressive showing. Some good blocking up front as well. George Foster making the block.
From the 45-yard line on first down. Cobbs. And let's go to Michelle.
Well, guys, I've been texting back and forth. Let's get back to Terrell Pryor for a minute. I've been texting back and forth with George Atala of the NFL Players Association. He was unaware that David Cornwell, the lawyer for Terrell Pryor, was willing to appeal those 5 games. He said he has yet to speak with Cornwell about this, that it must be a new development, and that he has yet to speak with Terrell Pryor. So he could not comment on this development, saying that it is a new development in his mind. That, again, is George Atala of the NFL Players Association now.
They're going to have to pay you a broker's fee.
I would take it.
This is the new quarterback. This is Canfield, who juggles the snap and then falls on it. So we're just a messenger service tonight, right?
Maybe they're just tired. They're just tired of litigation and the fight after all that we went through, and maybe I tend to agree with them. We've seen enough of that for a little while. I'll tell you, I do have to say that I was impressed they got that deal done. You know, there are so many egos involved in negotiations like that. The fact that we got basically the full preseason in and ready for opening day, it surprised me a little bit.
John Childs, the intended receiver. Well, I said it before it happened. I said, nope. Who won? Well, did the players win? Did the owners win? Who knows who won? Whoever won that battle won it with an overtime field goal. But the lawyers? You think the lawyers won?
Hit the home run, didn't they?
Bill those hours, baby.
And no wonder they had to throw him out of the room in order to make a deal.
Tell me about it.
$1,000 an hour. Well, I disagree with it.
Thomas Morstead with a punt that's fielded at the 7-yard line by Nick Miller, and he gets taken down immediately with 9:39 remaining in the fourth quarter, and the Saints up 40-20. Well, tomorrow is the 6-year commemoration of Hurricane Katrina roaring through New Orleans. Superdome became a refuge. That was the roof of the Superdome post Katrina. That was the Hyatt Regency Hotel across the street, and of course it looked like that city was broken, and who knows if it would ever come back at that point. And we all know what has taken place with the city on its way back as Bennett takes it up to the 11-yard line, and so much of it has to do with the Saints and at least the spirit that they provided. They gave the town a lot to look at. Devery Henderson and Will Smith would be the only two guys who were with the Saints when Katrina hit, and they were out here, so they couldn't get back home. And they stayed with the team, and they were out in the Bay Area, and then they eventually wound up, of course, going to San Antonio and playing their home games there that season on 2nd down and 6. Catch made by Bennett. Talking to Drew Brees last night about the city, the state of the city, and everything. We all know, look, there are a ton of feel-good stories. A lot of the city has come back, but there's a heck of a lot more still to be done, obviously. Tom Benson, the longtime owner of the Saints, going through the thick and thin of it. And now, of course, his ultimate reward was to see the city come back and get the Lombardi Trophy 2 years ago.
It really was a magical time, wasn't it? I remember being at that Super Bowl, sitting in the stands, and so many of the Saints fans were basically walking around in a daze after that game going, we won? We're the Super Bowl champions, you know, after all that they had been through. And it was a magical night. You know, so many times you go to the Super Bowl and one team wins, one team loses, and there's really bitter feelings back and forth. But that night was a little bit of a celebration, I think, almost for everybody, because they realized what all had gone into that moment and how much it meant to that city and how far that city had come.
Well, they really became, at that point, America's team. 2nd down and 6 with the ball at the 31-yard line. Edwards. And that catch is made by Nick Miller. Look at it. Edwards. Trent went to Stanford. Bowler went to Cal. They're battling for that number 2 spot behind Campbell. You look at the 3 quarterbacks. So there's one thing about them. Campbell is the number 1 guy right now. There's Bowler. We saw him earlier, former Raven. The one thing that the fans can't do is say, hey, look, we got to try this guy, this new guy. They know what they're going to get. All 3 guys have been around long enough. You know what you're going to get. Edwards throws, and that pass is incomplete. And then, of course, there's the wild card, Pryor.
Well, that's exactly right. And you're going to have to make a decision at some point. Probably not going to keep 4 quarterbacks on the roster. So Pryor gets the roster exemption for the first 5 games of the suspension. You can see all these guys are veteran guys. But eventually you've got to think it's going to be either Trent Edwards or Kyle Bowler as Terrell Pryor becomes the number 3.
2nd down and 10. Edwards, one-time starter with Buffalo, last year was with the Jaguars, and that pass to the outside is incomplete, intended for Miller. So often in the city, if the quarterback's not going well, the team's not going well, the most popular guy in town is the backup quarterback. But in this particular case, it's not like there's any mystery as to what you're going to get.
No, and you know, Cam Newton, as strange as it sounds, may have a little something to do with Terrell Pryor and, you know, how some of those guys go and whether or not, you know, the Tim Tebows of the world, are we really seeing a transition? Is there room for a new style of quarterback in the NFL? We haven't seen it yet. We haven't seen it be successful yet. Maybe Mike Vick about the closest that there is, but, you know, he's found his real success with what's been going on in Philadelphia, and he's been doing a lot of that strictly out of the pocket.
Eddie McGee makes the catch here, and that is a first down.
Now the Raiders' young offensive line doing a good job. You know, so many times you see these backup linemen get in there, and those stunts and loops and all the things that you see out of the defensive line confuses them. But this bunch has been pretty well coached so far. They've done a good job.
6.5 to go. The blitz is picked up on the outside at first, but not second.
On cue.
Right. There you go. That was Swanson Miller out of Oklahoma State.
Yeah, it was kind of a strange play. He sort of just sat there for a second, and I think maybe confused the offensive line. You'll see him right here, just not really take a step at first, sit back, and I'm not so sure that it didn't create a bit of an issue that time for Alex Parsons.
2nd and 17 for the Raiders from their own 47-yard line. And that is caught out in the flat by Lewis Rankin.
Yeah.
Looking ahead now to the regular season, since we're on the cusp of that, the Saints will open up the year on that Thursday night, NBC at Green Bay, and then home. Bears come to town, and the Houston Texans come to town. Then in October, at Jacksonville and at Carolina and at Tampa Bay. So 3 road games. Indianapolis on a Sunday night, October 23rd at home. And again, you got Swanson Miller with the sack. 2 of them.
You know, Swanson Miller, really 3 good plays in a row. He's going to come out and then take the path inside once he establishes contact there and able to come around and get the sack. Sometimes, you know, guys make the team at the last possible moment. It may not be important to football fans everywhere, but it's important to Swanson Miller, and he's taking advantage.
Leckler's punt, fair catch is called for and made at the 18 by Andy Tanner. Sunday Night Football is being brought to you by Shark Night 3D. Experience the movie event of the summer in theaters this Friday by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance. And by DirecTV, the season NFL Sunday ticket is included when you switch. It's downtown Oakland. That's Lake Merritt right in the middle of the city.
You'd never know that you used to live around here. You're calling out all these landmarks, aren't you?
I'll give you a few streets.
Not bad.
Getting ready to swoop in for dinner. There they are. They came over from AT&T Park where the Giants played today and had lunch. Now at the Coliseum for dinner.
The 3-man booth.
And there's a big hole, and exploiting it for a gain of 24 yards is Patrick Hobbs.
We've seen a lot of impressive running backs out here today. I tell you, that was a pretty good block by fullback Jed Collins as well, and they have really taken a liking to Jed Collins, the fullback. Right here, watch him on tape last week in that ball game. He kept making block after block after block, and I asked Sean Payton about him, and he said, let me tell you something, he's not going anywhere. If I have to keep 2 fullbacks, I'll keep 2 fullbacks. I don't care. I'm not letting him out of here.
After it throws, and catch made on the far side by Montez Billings.
It's kind of interesting talking to Sean Payton last night. I asked him, when do you think that the big moment came for you? When did the light kind of go on? And he was talking about going to Philadelphia and coaching with John Gruden up there. He said, for the first time, I realized how much I didn't know as a coach. And it really just was the moment that he felt like that where he learned the most, and it really kind of catapulted him into his career.
Here's Bell taking the handoff from Canfield, a 7th-round pick. Canfield was last year out of Oregon State. Now, what about the Raiders? They have a pretty interesting beginning here in the sense that they have 2 road games, but they're 2 winnable road games when you consider who they're playing. They open up on a Monday night at Denver, 4-12 last year. Then they go to Buffalo, 4-12. So who knows? If you get off to a good start, then you come home. And it's tough when they come home because they've got the Jets. And then the following week, they've got New England. Then they go and they face 2 teams that had losing marks last year. So they get off to a good start. Who knows?
I tell you, Denver, if I had to pick a team right now to come off the scrap heap, and there's always one, you know, you got to go try and find them. But John Fox with Denver and reestablishing that running game, and Elvis Dumerville and Von Miller, it would not stun me at all to see Denver bounce back this season.
Yeah, I'm with you on that in that regard, because I think that if you follow the game closely enough, and those inside the game know that John Fox is a really, really good coach. It's a fresh start for him after those years at Carolina. Man who's been to the Super Bowl. Hobbs again. And nobody's looking at Denver this year either. So who knows?
No, but and there will be You know that. There will be teams that we go, how in the world did they turn it around like that?
Correct Amundo. 2-minute warning in Oakland, where the Saints are breezing. Times Square, back to the regular scene. Times Square, local news coming up next, except on the West Coast. And here on the West Coast, it's feeding time.
I had popcorn last week. I'm looking for a hot dog this week. Going for the beauty shot.
That's the chief. He's checking it all out.
Head of security.
Those are the candlestick birds that have come across the bay. From the 21-yard line on 1st and 10. And the Saints are just going to kneel it down and everybody will go home. Roto World. You can dominate your draft, player rankings, cheat sheets, the whole 9 yards. NBCSports.com/Roto World. Hugh Jackson, his team is going to go to an 0-3 mark. In preseason, they go to Seattle for a Friday night game this week, and then Denver for that opener.
But I remind you, they had not one starting receiver out there on the field tonight. Richard Seymour not playing, and my motto has always been, don't pay any attention to anything you see in preseason. It is utterly meaningless. And it is hard to do, but you have to stick to that.
Correctamundo again, my man. It means zilch, it means nada, it means bookish. You pick the language. Tagalog, whatever you want to call it.
Jason Campbell was pretty good tonight, right? He did all right.
Yeah. Campbell, 12 of 17, 150. Good first drive. 1 touchdown and 1 pick. 3rd down and 13. And this kneel down will write a finish to this one. As the Raiders took the lead at one point, 20-17. And then the Saints wind up scoring the last 23 points. Sean Payton going over to wish Hugh Jackson the best of luck throughout the course of the season. And the final score is New Orleans 40 and Oakland 20.
You know what Sean's saying right there? He said, my kicker got hurt, which is why I was going for 2. Don't hold that against him. You could see Hugh Jackson go, don't worry about it. I wasn't even thinking about it.
Exactly. And that'll wrap up our preseason coverage. So we're going to see you again a week from Thursday night, September 8th, the beginning of the entire NFL regular season. Packers, Saints, Lambeau. Then Sunday night that week, Dallas and the Jets. Football Night in America begins at 7 Eastern. Until then, Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, Michelle Tafoya, our crew led by Fred Godelli and Drew Esikoff, saying goodnight from Oakland.